The election is over, World Series is over, and Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk is here to tell you if the ratings will be climbing up as a result. Mike?
Well, if the election was a reason, they should spike this weekend, right? We'll find out. Browns-Ravens, here we go.
Well,
nothing says ratings like an 0-9 team.
I don't know if that's your litmus test to say, you know what, the NFL is back. Let's go watch the Browns and the Ravens here.
Shouldn't we have a better reward? We've gotten through the election. It's over. And thanks, America, for giving us Browns-Ravens.
All right. When do you think you're going to see something, or the NFL? How nervous is the NFL about this right now?
I don't know that they're nervous, Dan, because to be nervous, they'd have to admit there's a problem.
Ooh.
I just wonder whether, and I hope there is, a disconnect between the public comments and the attitude versus privately what they're thinking and what they're doing. You get a lot of, oh, it'll be fine. Oh, there's a lot more where that came from. Oh, we're still the king of the sports world. Well, okay, fine, but that attitude isn't going to make things better. I think the responsible thing to do is head to the laboratory, figure out the reasons why the ratings are down, and come up with ways to address them, whether it's officiating, whether it's the quality of the games, whether there's something they can do with the schedules. One of the ideas I've been throwing out there, and I know that this will complicate life for NBC and make it more expensive, and Fox and CBS won't be happy about this, but I think that the Week 17 approach to Sunday Night Football, where we don't know which game it's going to be until 6 days before, and there isn't a game that's slotted for that spot, I think they should do that every week. You want to make Sunday Night Football exciting? Make it a big event. We find out every Monday which game has been selected for Sunday Night Football. And again, it wouldn't be easy. It would create hardships. It would make the package more expensive. Fox and CBS would lose their minds. But that's one of the possibilities. They need to be thinking about ideas to make the sport more exciting and more appealing to get more people to tune in.
Ed Werder from the Mothership just sent out a report that Tony Romo not cleared to play. I guess medically he's cleared, but he's not cleared football-wise to be able to get in uniform against the Steelers. Is that what you're making of this?
Well, look, what I'm making of this is they are going to ride Dak Prescott as long as they can. And if he wins at Pittsburgh on Sunday, that would be one heck of an accomplishment because a Steelers team that is desperate and at home is not an easy team to beat. If he pulls this one off, then it's his job, barring a complete and total collapse or a serious injury. And I think the Cowboys are slow playing this. I actually like what Jerry Jones said yesterday about the issue being something that's not going to be totally resolved at any point this year. Why have a plan? Why announce to the world what you're going to do? Keep the opponents guessing as to when and if they may see Tony Romo, and keep the flexibility to give Tony Romo a series or two here or there just to keep him fresh in case you need him for the postseason. But there's no mandatory requirement that they say who the quarterback's going to be.
But Jerry can't help himself, Mike. That's been part of the problem. I wouldn't tell anybody anything. Just we're progressing. We'll let you know when Tony is medically cleared. But Jerry couldn't help himself with this.
Well, but when you have a commitment to appear on a radio station in Dallas twice a week, you're going to talk about something, and this is part of his gig. He's a showman. He's a carnival barker, and he's great for the sport. He's great for his team, and he's great for the league. And look, I think at a certain level, Dan, and I know that they have a high degree of loyalty to Tony Romo, and they'd love to win a Super Bowl with Tony Romo, but Jerry Jones desperately wants to be the guy who built the champion. He knows that very few people give him credit for the team of the 90s that won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. That was Jimmy Johnson's team, and it was such a great team that even without Jimmy Johnson there, Barry Switzer was able to win a Super Bowl. He doesn't want to be the guy who rode sidecar. He wants to be the guy who steered the ship, and Dak Prescott's his guy. He can take credit for Dak Prescott. Tony Romo's Bill Parcells' guy. He's one of the last remaining Parcells players. He was a guy Parcells discovered and kept and groomed. Prescott is Jerry's guy, and when you couple that with Prescott playing as well as he is, that's something that makes the feather in Jerry's cap a little bit bigger.
Yeah, but it feels like he's trying to still keep the door open for Romo, even though Dak Prescott's his guy.
Yeah, well, look, let's say they lose to Pittsburgh this week by 20 points, and Prescott has 3 turnovers, and then they lose the following week. And you want to keep the door open. And here's the one thing that I would be worried about if I was a Cowboys fan. Prescott continues to play well for the rest of the season. They get the 1 seed or the 2 seed in the NFC, and then in the divisional round, the Packers are in town, and it's late in the third quarter. They're down 7 or 10 points. Prescott's thrown an interception or 2. What do you do? What do you do then? Because you know what? Whatever you do, if it doesn't work, you're going to hear about it for the next 20 years. You either should have put Romo back in if you don't and you lose, or you should have left Romo out if you go with him and you lose. That is not a good problem to have. I know they like to say good problem to have. The only good problem to have is no problem. And as long as Romo is looming, that is a potential issue that happens in the playoffs. And we saw it from Prescott against the Eagles a week and a half ago. He got it together. He played well. They got the win. But when the season is riding on it, when it's win or go home, are you going to trust the rookie in that spot, or are you going to be tempted to put Romo back out on the field? I wouldn't want that temptation if I was the Cowboys.
He's Mike Florio. You can listen to Pro Football Live, NBC Sports Radio, NBCSN, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, the show prior to ours. Also check out ProFootballTalk.com. What is Plan B with the Chargers, since the Chargers themselves don't know what Plan B is?
Well, yeah, here's the thing. After the Rams got the permission to move to L.A., there was that period of time, a very intense period of time right after that, where the Chargers and the Rams were negotiating the terms of a deal that would allow the Chargers and the Rams to partner up. And the Chargers have until January 15 to exercise the option to join the Rams in L.A. But there's a belief in league circles that the Chargers don't want to partner up with the Rams. They don't want to be second fiddle at Inglewood. And I believe that if Stan Kroenke were telling the truth, he doesn't want to share that market either. He wants L.A. to himself. I believe that. I don't know that that's the case, but I think he'd rather have the market to himself. So what's the Chargers' alternative? Are they going to get into a game of musical chairs with the Raiders for Las Vegas now? They're going to move to San Antonio, St. Louis? They're going to move to Oakland if the Raiders move to Las Vegas? I think they're staying in San Diego. Now, the outcome of last night's vote, if I'm Dean Spanos, I look at that and I say, wow, only 31% of the people here are willing to give me free money for my stadium. Maybe they don't want me. Maybe I do explore my options a little more carefully. But they have at least through 2020, and there's some talk that they're going to try next year another stadium resolution that the mayor would be on board with. They have a popular mayor in San Diego. They think maybe they could get it done that way. But if I'm the mayor and I'm popular, I don't know that I want to hitch my wagon to a team that couldn't get more than a third of the vote on a measure that was being sold as, hey, San Diego, it won't cost you anything because it's a tax on the people who come stay in your hotels and motels. And even then, they couldn't get 1 out of 3 people to support it.
I'll leave you with this. Full-time officials in the NFL, would that make the officiating any better?
I don't know that the incremental improvement would be worth the expense, because you ultimately would have to dangle some significant money to get Ed Hockley to give up his law practice, to get the other accomplished officials to give up their primary jobs. But I think it could make it better, and it at least creates the impression they're trying to make it better. You can, in the off-season, subject them to training regimens and nutrition and make sure they're in great shape and do simulations and have them at practice during the week when they otherwise would not be doing their regular jobs. You can have them go to a team practice and officiate the team practice on Thursday. There's a lot of things you can do if you have full and unfettered access. I think the NFL's real issue here is from a business standpoint. How much can we pay these folks, and how much of a premium would we have to pay to get our best officials to continue to do it? Dan, I'd rather see them embrace the concept of a video official who is a member of the crew, who is seeing everything that we see and communicating directly with the referee on site, saying, for example, that was roughing the passer, or that was unnecessary roughness on Richard Sherman, throw the flag, with the benefit of the big, bright, flat screens that we all see, and we wonder what the hell the officials on the field aren't seeing. You
brought up Richard Sherman. Is there going to be any more repercussions with that? I saw Carpenter's wife, Dan Carpenter's wife. Yeah. Not that she'll be fined or suspended, but she was pretty angry with Richard Sherman running into her husband.
Yeah, I mean, he may get a fine for unnecessary roughness, and the NFL has already admitted that it was a mistake. And look, I love transparency. I don't know how I feel about Dean Blandino tweeting in real time that it was a mistake while the game is still going on. I have no problem after the game, Blandino going on NFL Network or coming on your show, my show, wherever, and saying, well, yeah, we acknowledge that was a mistake. But there's just something about it when it happens during the game that makes me say, why don't we have something in place that Walt Anderson's the one who hears it and fixes it? They have that pipeline, and there's a lot of cynicism about that pipeline, that they use that pipeline back to the league office when they shouldn't. Well, they didn't use it improperly on Monday night, because if they did, there would have been a flag for unnecessary roughness, there wouldn't have been the delay of game penalty, and that mess wouldn't have happened.
Great stuff, Mike. Thanks for joining us.
All right, see you, Dan.
That's Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.